If we're back, we're sorry about that technical difficulty there. Minus 35 in Edmonton, Alberta,
And counting.
and counting.
And counting.
Are we going to the moon?
Yes.
Well, the
we
planets have aligned because, you know,
Yeah.
the goat came out to play.
Did he ever? Someone forgot to tell him his age.
Well, yes, I would agree with that as
Correct.
well. We have Toss joining us in a minute. He's just figuring out his internet there, but you can see he'll be on there in 1 second. But welcome to the show, everybody. This is the Me and Jesse podcast.
There he is. Come on now. Place is going nuts. Everybody, welcome to the show. Okay, this is one of my. Listen to me. I tell you, we got guys from the NFL. We got guys from the NHL. Forget all them today. You know why? Because we have someone very special on the show, soccer prodigy. Okay, I can use it. No, Toss, don't do it. Don't do it. Soccer prodigy, everybody. The one and only Tosaint Ricketts, everybody.
How you doing?
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Our pleasure. Did you catch the game yesterday?
Yes, I did. I'm not a big NFL fan, but obviously when the Superbowl's on, I got to tune in and, support whatever team I bet with.
Did you make it through alive on that one?
Yes, I did.
Oh, wow.
You can't go against the GOAT, man.
No, you can't.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, we're happy to have you on the show, Toss. And I'm telling you, we did a lot of research on you, which made it even more special because your journey is something that has to be told correctly. I mean, there's people over time that have interviewed you and done things with you, but not like today. Today's different. You know why? Because we know your history. We know that you were a 15-year-old kid and went off to Chile. We know the journey you took all the way. Yeah, this is the Me and Toss. This is the Me and Jesse podcast.
That one was deep in the closet.
Listen, Toss. This is the Me and Jesse podcast. Right now, we're the fastest growing podcast probably in the world. And the crazy part about it is when my son is a friend of yours.
Yep.
I said when we started this podcast, I wanted to have NFL, I wanted to have NHL, I wanted to have MLS, I wanted to have PGA golf, I wanted to have it all. But you know what? More importantly, I wanted people with character. I don't care. It's funny. No offense to the greatest hockey player right now of all time, but could you imagine him being on this show for 45 minutes? Oh my God! We love him, and he's a great hockey player, but he couldn't be on here for 45 minutes. He just couldn't, right? So, Toss, that's why we wanted you on the show, because we know your journey through 15-year-old going to Chile to now playing for the Vancouver Whitecaps. I mean, it's
Yeah, well, Mark, there he is.
They don't know the in-between.
Yeah, it's been a journey, man. Obviously, being born and raised in Edmonton, you don't, as a soccer player, you don't have a lot of the opportunities say, even kids in Ontario had. I didn't have professional players to look up to. I didn't have no professional team in our backyard. I just I had my brothers who I looked up to, and I had their aspirations which I wanted to emulate and replicate, and I just got to the point where I got to a higher level than them, but those are the people I looked up to from Edmonton growing up.
What about soccer in Canada? I grew up on the West Coast though, so it was a big deal. It was baseball and soccer on the West Coast. I was in the baseball side, but in Edmonton, for example, it's hockey. Really, we can't argue. It's hockey. So what is it that drew you to play soccer, to kick a ball rather than to skate?
I mean, I started late. I didn't really start at a young age. Most kids start playing soccer at the age of 4, 5.
Yeah. When they can walk.
I started playing at the age of 13. I never had to. Wow. My parents were always working, grinding, and couldn't really put me in organized sports and really get me out there to all the practices and games and stuff. So it was until one of my friends from school, we played against them in junior high, and I scored a couple goals against them. They were the best team. They were in Otwell or whatever. And his parents said, "Come out to our club team. We'll drive you. We'll take you to games. We'll do everything for you." And that's kind of like what really started my career.
It's interesting how winning is so bilingual. You know what I mean? Like when you start winning, I don't care, even at a small age, young age, don't matter. People will pick you up and drive you to the other field.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
It was more so their team to get that little advantage, but
That's right.
I'm always grateful for it was the Barkas family, Kyle Barkas and his mom and dad. They
Oh,
really
that's
helped
awesome.
me. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Fantastic.
Okay, so Edmonton, Alberta, 13 years old starting. A couple years, things get heated pretty quick then. So what was that process between 13 and 15 that sent you off to another country?
It happened fast. You know, I started at the age of 13. Then 2 years later, I was on the provincial team. And then a year after that, I got into the national training program that's like where you can get scouted for the national team and, you know, more international games and stuff. And then that's when the opportunity to go to Chile came. And, you know, I'm a type of guy that takes every opportunity. You know, I didn't know what is good, what is bad. I was just willing to, you know, jump on board. So I went to Chile.
When you go to Chile at 15, though, you're in the same category as other people. Like I don't want to start using these names too much, but like the David Beckhams of the world. And I'm right though, because those guys went to those places. Like we heard about those guys at 13, 14, 15 because they were recruited by Man U's junior team or whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
And you also did fall in that same category. Every article I've ever read, everything I've read, they talk about your speed. They talk about all these other things. Mm-hmm. But being 15 and basically off to Chile is not just a regular kid does that.
No. And I was scared. You know, I didn't know what Chile was. I'm going with my coach at the time and 3 other players, but you know, I didn't know what to expect. We're living with a billet. We're in Santiago, Chile. We're in Santiago, the capital.
Wow. Yep.
And it was an interesting experience. You know, I was young. It was a professional team there. There wasn't really any incentives. You know, I was just going there to train. I was going there to just basically get a chance. Like you said, you know, if this is a different country like England, maybe that is Chelsea Academy, maybe that's Fulham Academy, maybe that's Manchester United Academy.
Yeah.
Correct.
Being from Edmonton, this was the path that I had to take to get to where I am today and to have the career that I've had so far.
But Toss,
not conventional,
but do you think that if you were born now, and I know people say if, woulda, coulda, shoulda, whatever, but do you think if you were, say, somewhere like Florida, some part of Europe, that the journey you took, because I know your journey, so the journey you took wouldn't have been so across the globe. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you would have went to one spot, that spot would have took you to the next spot, that spot would have took you to the Bundesliga, you know what I mean? Like it would have took you to that because of where you were. Like we are probably in the worst place in the world to get recruited for soccer.
One of the worst in the world.
Like,
I mean, at the time we didn't have a professional league, so that's
right.
Exactly.
That's a big deal. You know, like the best countries, the best nations in the world in soccer, they all have a strong domestic league where they can, you know, create players, grow players, and work on their grassroots and really push those players to stardom. You know, we didn't have that infrastructure in Canada, and that's something I want to help build after I'm done, especially in Edmonton.
So what years that you went to Chile?
I think it was grade 10. So I started
15 years old.
Yeah, I started school at J. Percy Page, and then I got recruited by the national team training program, which was the trainings were at Garrison, so all the way on the north side. So I had to switch schools. So that's when I switched to FX, just to be closer to, you know, the national team program and in the academy there. And then I left the second semester of school and went to Chile. Just left school and went. I mean, that's just the type of person I was. You know, I was just willing to sacrifice everything, pretty much, family, friends.
Definitely.
Now, I mean, there's another soccer player that's come out of Edmonton that we know of, and he's killing it. But it was a different time. So in this time that you went to Chile and he goes and plays somewhere else, how much development has happened, let's say, in Canada for finding the talent now?
Yeah.
I mean, for finding the talent, there's the 3 MLS teams which have academies. So like Alphonso Davies, who you're referring to. He got scouted by my team now, the Vancouver Whitecaps, and he started here, I'm not sure, I think the age of 13 or 14. And, you know, his athletic ability and his, you know, just skill in general just shot him to the top. And, you know, those type of opportunities I didn't have growing up, you know, even my brother's generation didn't have either. But players like Owen Hargreaves, I'm not sure if you know about him.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Yeah, he left Calgary at the age of 15 because he didn't have those options, but he went to England, you know, because he has roots there. So, you know, the journey out of Canada is always different. If you look at all Canadian players, it's, you know, unconventional. Always.
Right. So
has Alphonso Davies ever reached out to you ever? Has he ever reached out? Because, Toss, your journey is different. Your journey is through Turkey. Your journey's through Israel. Your journey's through I've
seen it all, man.
Yeah, but do the young kids, do they ever say to you, hey, Toss, you know, like, what's up? Like, you know what I mean? Like, not you going the other direction, them going to you. Have they ever done that?
I mean, you know how kids are, you know, they're
I do.
They're in their phones, you know, they're stuck in the moment. They're not really thinking about what could go wrong, you know, what it's like in a different environment that they're in, what Israel's like, Turkey, Norway, Romania, what all these places are like.
Finland.
They're just worried about what they're doing now. But I played with Alphonso with the national team. You know, I speak to him. I give little, whatever, not tips, but just little things that you learn through experience, you know, here and there. But some players seek it, some don't. But some players need it, some don't as well. So
yeah, exactly.
So I mean, I think it really talks a lot about the development of the sport in Canada, for example, where you know, in reality, a short time gap, decade or so, and it changes dramatically. But would you say then, like, I mean, we would say that you then are a trailblazer, essentially, of getting things a little more noticed on the world stage? What in the future, let's not get too ahead of ourselves, but in the future, is that something you want to help develop more? Is there like scouting ideas? Is there maybe Team Canada ideas that you're thinking about that you could contribute to?
Yeah, I mean, I have my goals. You know, I'm set right now on becoming a GM. You know, just handling the business side. Plus,
there we go. There we go.
That's what we want to hear.
There we go. There we go. There we go. Let's talk. Let's get that out there. Let's say that a few more times on this show today, right? Because we don't mind knowing the GM of a very large soccer team one day. Because Jesse and I will drink some cold ones sitting in the best seats in the house. You know, we have no shame. We have no shame.
So yeah, you know, that's one of my dreams. You know, I want to help the future of Canada. I want to provide opportunities that I didn't have growing up. You know, I want to be able to speak to young players. That's why I started my academy. You know,
tell us about that.
Ricketts Academy. I can't be full time, obviously, because I'm still very much in my career. But you know, that's something that, you know, I like to do, and I do it from the heart. You know, I believe kids need to speak to professional athletes. They need to hear the experiences.
I agree.
Need to know that it's possible. You know, and I just want to do my part in that area 100%.
So what does the academy do? Like, what do you focus on? Who can come to it? How do you pick out kids to get in there?
As of right now, it's just every time I'm back home, say I get like a week off or I'm on vacation for the holidays, I do a camp. You know, nothing really crazy can come out of it. You know, obviously I'm looking for players that, you know, have aspirations. Maybe I can put in a word for them and get them here into the Vancouver Academy, or even just give them advice on whether or not to go for a scholarship like I did, or
that's
to
huge,
try CPL.
That's huge. That's gigantic. Yeah. That's what people don't understand. That is so big. Toss, you just keep undermining, like, just you be soft about it. But on this,
you're a lot like me, Toss.
But Toss,
I'm a humble guy. You know, I don't think anything I'm doing is super special or anything like that.
Perfect. Thank God I do, Toss. So, and you know what's funny too, Toss? If something's not special, I don't say it's special either. I went to your website today, tosaintricketts.com, tosaintricketts.com, and I want people to. We're going to put that up on our YouTube channel as well, the actual thing. So when he does have academies and things like that for kids, you'll know where it is, when it is, and he'll make sure you know about it. Once you're on this show one time, you're part of this group forever. Thank God I have a promotional background, and that 9 million people will watch this episode of the Me and Jesse podcast. And you know why? Because when I watch you in tapes, you're the quarterback. It's funny how Vancouver, they re-signed you again, right? They're not stupid. They re-signed you again for the sole purposes. I watch how you play soccer, and being of a Croatian background, I pay attention to soccer.
Of course.
The Stanley Cup could be on right now. We don't care. World Cup starts, we shut our office. It's shut down that's how it works. So there's
I'm French.
Yeah, and Jesse's French. But
they got quite the squad there, Jesse.
Yeah,
they
do they ever?
Wow.
But the point is like you see like the feeling of soccer's different than even hockey. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, it's the biggest sport in Edmonton, but come World Cup time, it's different. It's
the world sport.
It is really a world sport. I really want to know, because you've been everywhere and played in so many different places. Coming home to Canada and playing in the MLS versus Europe, the differences, obviously culturally, we know that, but the fans, like, I want to know about the difference. And I mean, when you were at the FC, like Toronto FC, and you won in 2017, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, the fans were nuts in that when we were watching it and stuff. But how has that changed, and how is it from Europe to Canada, specifically in the stadiums?
Yeah.
For me, the fans in Europe, or the countries that I've played in, are a bit more hostile. It just seems like it just means a little bit more to them than fans in North America. I'm not saying that to knock on the fans or saying they should be more aggressive or hostile or anything like that.
We're Canadian still.
Like in Turkey, they will kill for their team,
Right.
Yeah. Literally.
Here it's like more like a family outing. They're supporters, strong supporters, love the team, but it's just a little bit more PG compared to
And I think culturally, I think that is a big thing, because Canadians, we do tend to lay back a little bit, even more than Americans, really. I mean, Americans. What's it like playing in like Seattle then?
Actually, Seattle's a nice place.
Yeah, I love Seattle.
I signed some Seattle Saunders jerseys. It felt weird, but I guess I'll sign it. But that would never happen. And a Man U fan would never ask a Chelsea player to sign his jersey ever.
Never.
And again, it's the same. And again, we have hockey, so we can relate it to an Oilers Flames thing. Like, if an Oilers fan isn't going to get Matthew Tkachuk to sign an Oilers jersey, it just isn't going to happen. He ain't going to do it either. But you can see that. So people watching, like, you wonder, like, how can soccer be like that? Well, think of hockey and the most hated thing you have against your other team. That's how it's like for soccer. And to me, personally, the spectacle of even a match between Man U and Chelsea, for example, on a regular season game is higher than, I would say, an early playoff round Game 7.
Are you nuts? Than any hockey? Are you nuts, Jesse? Are you absolutely nuts?
No,
right
I'm
now?
not. I'm trying to not piss off 90% of her fans.
Listen, our fans can get mad all they want. We're going to start lying to them now on the show. There's nothing bigger than World Cup soccer on
World
the
Cup,
planet.
yes, of course.
Nothing.
But I'm saying a regular season Man U versus Chelsea is
Man U
higher
versus
level.
Chelsea game is bigger than any hockey game. I'm telling Jesse.
Yes.
You're
yes. No, I said even playoffs. Game 7, first round, Game 7. It's bigger.
But in North America, all of a sudden we think that everything stops here.
Yes.
Trust me when
hockey is.
Trust me when I tell you. If Ronaldo walked down my street right now, everybody would know who he is.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. If Messi walked down, people would know who he is. Half the Oilers could walk down my street, and half of them used to live on my street. No one knows who they are. So what I'm trying to tell you is, let's put everything in perspective today, especially on this show. Okay.
That's actually a great point you bring up, because
it is.
Even Westbrook, he said he went somewhere in Europe and people didn't know who he was, but
no
Messi,
clue.
Neymar, Mbappe,
hey,
guys,
Modric in Croatia right now. Let alone he could run for the president of Croatia.
Yeah.
Modric, his story but his whole thing, everybody knows who he is. Even people that don't care about soccer, they're like, "Hey, Mark, we saw that little Croatian guy, Modric. Do you know him?"
Wizard.
And I'm like, "No, I don't know him." But what I'm trying to say is, this is a sport that we have to stop downplaying, because we live in Canada. I could care less. I would watch a World Cup soccer game prior to watching any hockey game ever.
I agree with you. I 100%
ever.
So what was the greatest, like outside of Canada? Well, we throw it in there too. What was your favorite place to play?
I mean, I've had some interesting situations and run into some interesting scenarios to deal with and stuff like that. Like I was in Turkey, not getting paid on time. I was in Romania, not getting paid on time, fighting for my wages, getting lied to from the directors and the sporting directors. So for me, my favorite will always be in Canada. I love Canada. I'm a patriot. You know, I'm very patriotic. My time in Toronto, my time here in Vancouver has been amazing just because my family's close, my friends are close, playing on my home soil. I'm a big Canadian guy here.
And you're not gonna get lied to and not paid, I guess.
No.
In Canada, the contract means a little more here, I suppose.
Yeah. You're most likely gonna get paid here.
Tuss, do you see yourself one more season, 2 more seasons, 3 more seasons? But in those seasons, I've seen even in your career where you get streaky goal wise. Yep. So why not we start today on the Me and Jesse podcast for this season? You know that you owe me and Jesse about 12 goals, you know. Ooh. Yeah, 12 to 14, 15 goals, right?
It's going up.
Toss. Well, I try not to be greedy, but then I think to myself, why are we going to underachieve on the show? And Toss,
how many games is the MLS season?
About 36.
Okay.
36. Yeah, I'm talking half the time. But what I'm saying is, Toss, I know you can still do it on that level.
Of course.
Yes, you can. Now that you have us constantly in your ear about doing this, we're going to purchase forget Toronto no more, Jesse. We're more Toronto.
I grew up on Vancouver Island. It was a Vancouver 86ers, and then they switched over to the Whitecaps. And so I've always been the Vancouver Whitecaps.
My daughter lives in Vancouver. Toss lives in Vancouver. He's on the White. We're getting the shirts. We're going to be fans now. And if we're fans, that's trouble.
I think, here's something. No, it is true. If we jump in, it is over. But, here's something important that people need to understand. It's like, because it really, advertising dollars is what is causing soccer to grow in the country. And we can't deny that. We know that that's what gets it on TV. So here's the GM brain part of you going to have to work a bit.
Yes.
How do you make it even more cool than it? How do you make it more appealing for the people that would tend to watch a hockey game versus something else? Because I think that's a big kicker right now is, hey, well, there's a soccer game on, but I really don't know much about it. How do you make it that level again so that we can jump in at an earlier stage?
Well, success. I think, like you said, winning is very contagious.
Yes.
I think if the national team starts making some serious ripples on the international stage, starts making it deep into Gold Cup tournaments and, winning Gold Cup tournaments, get into the World Cup, I think those things are the biggest catalyst. Catalyst. As you've seen with USA in 1993 when the MLS started, they had the World Cup 1 year later, 1994, and now you have this MLS league where people are buying into the league for $300 million to get a team, and it's growing huge. Year after year.
That is tremendous when you think about it, because the women national team had some success of late. Obviously Toronto FC and Montreal both playing well in the past, so that definitely brought it up a bit again. But I think you're absolutely right, and it goes back down to you when you're a kid and the development of this sport. You see soccer games going on and all, but we haven't invested the way we should be and the way we do in hockey. Obviously, we're not even close to investing in it. We probably invest in other sports even above that. But when you think about it, this is one of those sports like basketball where I find, hey, you need a ball and some kids, and there's your overhead cost for it.
It's very easy to put on. I think also the CPL is huge. I'm hoping that things go well in terms of structure and management and everything of that league, because that's what's going to provide opportunities for the young kids. You have FC Edmonton, who will have an academy. You'll have Calgary in Calgary, who will have an academy. And just having kids in that professional environment will fuel the love for the game, will fuel the growth of the game, and that next generation will be all avid soccer fans, hopefully.
Toss, have you seen anybody through your academies in the last year and a half, 2 years? Have you seen any kids that you go, wow, there's those kids that are out there, even at the ages of like 8, 9, 10, you go, oh my God, like this kid, there's something not right. Like he's just crazy. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've even seen it at my age too. But my nephews are
incredible,
12, 13, so they surprise me. My one nephew is very good at free kicks. Like he has that soccer intelligence that I didn't even have at that age. So
wow,
that's credit to the training. My brother's been training him, and people with proper soccer minds have been, starting to get involved in the game. It's not just your average mom and dad training kids technique and, tactics and stuff. You're getting more soccer minds training kids, and that's what you need. That's what you need to grow it, and that's what you need to cultivate that talent. I know you know Dimitri very well.
I do.
He was a top talent at the age of 14, 15, 16.
That's right.
But if he had the right environment and the right people to cultivate that talent and to point him in the right directions, tell him what's right,
he could have been
wrong,
far. He could have went far.
He could have been at the highest level.
It's funny too. That's a true story. When he came home from the college he went to, he was really mad and he got homesick and the rest of it. I almost slapped him upside the head when he came home because he lives a block away. He lives a block away from me, Toss.
Yeah.
I love the kid. I love his family. I know like his daughter played with my daughter, and I knew he had such talent. And when he came home and he saw me, he looked at the floor because he knew I was going to say something. I'm like, what the hell are you doing back here? You're like, you could keep going, and he's like, oh, I was homesick. I didn't like it. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean,
when you think about it, that is part of it, because you see guys that in hockey and stuff, in all sports now, where you have to leave home at a young age. It isn't normal, to be honest. Like it takes a lot for someone.
It takes a lot more than just talent. You have to be willing to sacrifice family, friends. You have to sacrifice your comfortable environment.
Yeah, that's right.
You have to sacrifice Canada and go to a place, for example, in my case, like Turkey, where 2% of the guys on the team speak English. The coach doesn't speak English. They're trying to not pay you. They're trying to get their little advantages here and there along the way, and you got to be able to navigate through that environment and still stay motivated. It's not easy. It's more than just talent.
Yeah. I think I'm thinking about all the things we've already talked about, but I'm thinking about the biggest knock I hear from people talking about soccer or watching soccer is it's too slow. Why are they passing it back there? Why are they kicking it around? And I think there needs to be some more education, because I mean, when we're watching the World Cup and people wonder why, when they fall on the ground, when they miss a shot or something, you're like, whoa, you're going to get 20 shots. And you're like, no, it doesn't work that way. So I think somehow portraying the intensity of every single and the importance of every single opportunity you get is a big part of this deal too. Is there any leagues out there that are trying to mix it up a bit and make it a little different?
I don't think so. I mean, I think MLS is probably
more like that.
The league that makes it a little different. Like when COVID hit, they were the first league to announce 5 subs instead of 3. That's huge.
Yeah, that speeds it up.
Yeah, that is big. That is big.
And just these little tournaments that we had the MLS's back tournament where all the teams went to Orlando. That's something I don't think any other country or league did. I think MLS is probably leading the line in terms of creativity and innovation in the game. But
I guess when you look at the Premiership or something like that too, you'd be like, these are some pretty stoic figures that have been in place for hundreds of years.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to move those big boulders to get any innovation.
I compare soccer to like religion. It's like so deep rooted in people's lives. It's like it's life or death sometimes for them. They really take it serious and support their teams.
Toss, they take it so serious that my father, who's in the Hockey Hall of Fame, lives in Croatia half the year, and his apartment is on the back of a soccer field. And he says he loves soccer 10 times more than he loves hockey, and he was in the NHL for 30-something years. So
I've always wondered who lived in those houses right by the stadium. Like that's the best place.
And my dad is so old that he feels so bad that he wants to watch it as he's drinking his espresso through his own window. So he pays this little kid to take the money down for the actual tickets because he doesn't want to think people that he's watching it for free.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
legend.
That's a true supporter there.
Yeah, he loves it.
What is that feeling? Because it doesn't happen as much as other sports when you make that shot and it goes in.
Oh, man, it's
Euphoria.
the best feeling in the world because, like you said, you only get 1 or 2 chances a game, and you may have not scored for 3 games, or you may have not been playing the minutes you want to play. And just when that feeling, like I just have this feeling like I can just jump through the roof, you know, and that's what I do with my celebration. I just want to jump as high as I can and just, you know, it's the best feeling.
Now I'm going to take it to the other side of this because this is what people that non-soccer watchers question. When player A taps player B on the shoulder and player B falls down like the Passion of the Christ and reenacts the scene, what's going on? Explain to people in that scenario.
If you're within 25 yards from the goal and you happen to get a dead ball situation, that could be the game. That could be the difference between thousands of dollars of bonuses. That could be the difference between getting relegated to the second league and having to move your family to another country because the team no longer pay your wages. That's the difference between first place, second place, third place. That's all the difference. Like in Toronto, in 2017, we had this little player, Italian player, Sebastian Giovinco, and he was
we know who he is.
The best free kick taker, I swear, in the world.
On the planet.
Anywhere around the 18-yard box, 20 yards.
Didn't miss.
It was a goal. So, I mean, if you put it that way, like if you're going to be guaranteed a goal, if you embellish a little bit around the box, even though you got hit, you know, it's an advantage. It's part of the game. It's sometimes it's tactical. Obviously, you can go over the board and be exaggerated like Neymar does sometimes, but you know, it's part of the game. It's rooted in the game. Getting those advantages anytime you can. That's
the first time we've had anybody explain it to us where it actually made sense.
Yeah, I knew that answer. Like I wanted him to explain it because I think the people understand. And sometimes too, you must like if it's getting later, you're trying to draw some time out because hey, we're holding on to a lead, or I'm dead tired and I need to lay down.
Just catch your breath. I'm the worst at this because I can't dive well, you know? Like I'll get hit and be like, still run a bit and be like, shit, I should have dove, and then I'll fall, and the ref will be like, get up, play on. I'm not good at it. It's actually
it's not your thing.
Skill, you know, you gotta have.
Yeah. I was very good. I'm a big guy, but I was very good at diving. I would feel the nudge, and I could wholesale that thing like you wouldn't believe. They thought I would be shot. I was shot. Someone from the stands up in the lights sniped me, and I'm down. And I was great. And I also took free kicks, so that was kind of like an added bonus.
There you go.
So let's stay on that because I really find that funny because people do get genuinely pissed off about that. And you talk about hockey and they're not like soccer players, and you're like, well. The Stanley Cup's on the line every day. Like you said, this could mean you having to live in one of those countries that don't pay you. Like, you are going to do what it takes. And this is why I really believe that every single match is as potent as everything else because there's so much riding on every single one. That's another reason
especially when there's only 36, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same with the NFL. 16 games, you're like, holy, everything matters. Every game matters so much more, which is why in other leagues, and Mark and I have talked about this, but I think we really should shorten seasons because, hey, it means a little bit more every single game. But that being said, so playing in other countries where they don't speak the language and you don't speak the language, the coach is yelling on the sideline at you. What do you do?
I have some interesting stories. For example, I was in Lithuania last year, and I was playing whatever in the game, doing well, and then I got an injury in my hamstring. Like I felt like a pop.
Yeah.
And so I'm on the ground, you know, in pain, kind of distraught. My coach only speaks Russian. So then I come out because I asked for a sub. I'm like, I can't go on no more. I asked for a sub. And during that time where I'm nursing my hamstring, kind of disorientated because I'm in pain, he went to shake my hand and he said something to me in Russian, but I never heard him. And he didn't speak to me for a month and a half after that because I never shook his hand on that play.
No.
He's like, and then he told the GM, like, oh, I told him, shake my hand. I'm like, I don't speak Russian. I wish I did, but I don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's tough. It's tough. The language barrier can be very tough.
And so, I mean, go ahead, Mark.
Do you think, Toss, that if say your prime, okay, there was a time in your career that you said, this is my prime. Like there's nothing hurt. Everything was clicking. Everything was working out great. If I put you in a Chelsea game, okay? If I put you in a Chelsea game, would you look out of place? Your prime.
Depends what position, I would say. I would say if I was a striker playing as like a top 2 striker in a Chelsea game and I have Cesc Fabregas behind me and all these stars feeding me balls, I feel like I could hold my own. Yeah, 100%. 100%. In my prime, I feel like I could.
How old were you? How old would you have been in this scenario?
I would say 26, 27, 28. Okay. 29 even. I'm a very fit guy, so I even feel good now. So
and being a striker is about speed, is it not? Like that is the prime. What would you say then?
It's a bit of both, because even strong, slower type, bigger players are preferred in some teams because they can hold the ball and connect with the faster players in and around them. So they're more like a target player rather than a runner who will break the lines. So there's a lot of different strikers. There's some strikers that aren't fast at all, but they're technical and good with both feet, so they can get an inch of space and shoot with the right, shoot with the left, and they're very tricky. There's all different types of sizes, styles, and strikers, and there's not one specific style or one specific striker that is preferred over the other. It just depends on your system and your team.
Yeah, but athleticism obviously
is huge. Athleticism was my biggest thing.
Your vertical. I've seen pictures of your vertical, where you're over top of the head of when you score a goal, your feet are over top of the players' heads when you're jumping up in the air, and I'm like, this is just not right. This is not right.
I can jump through the roof. I think that was from my earlier days of just playing all types of sports. I used to play basketball, volleyball. Wow. I even played lacrosse one year. I was track and field. I was all over. That's kind of why I started so late, because I just love sports.
But you were a track short distance runner, correct?
Yeah. I mean, growing up, I don't remember ever losing in any event. I won. I'm trying to remember.
What a dilemma! Eh? I just didn't lose.
I mean, it's just the facts. From cross country, from elementary, I never lost one, all the way to junior high. And then I got into 100, 200, 400, 800. Right. I never lost. I did 1,500 one time. I did long jump, high jump. I did everything.
Toss, all this athleticism, though, when it's all said and done, you have to be rewarded for. It would be an absolute sin if you're not. Sure, you've made a living playing soccer, but I want the final chapter, okay? I want to write it with you. I want that final chapter because of your athleticism and the things you've done and the struggles in Israel and Turkey and Finland. There's got to be an ending to this where we're all smiling all together. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I love the Vancouver Whitecap thing, but I could see you in an Armani suit. Ooh. running one of the MLS teams, and with your soccer knowledge, because if anybody watches you on the field, like I have, I've watched videos of certain things. I study, right? I don't know if you know this, Toss. I trained many athletes that fought in the UFC before.
Really?
So yes, 100%. Wow. So what's happened is I don't watch a fight like a fight. I don't watch a soccer game like a soccer game. So when I watch you play soccer, I watch how you maneuver. You're a maneuver. So you quarterback, you look, you're checking, your feet are moving this way, you're looking over there, you're talking to the person in the center. And this is something where your mind is working in such a way that you can easily translate that over to management or outside of soccer.
Oops.
That's why I'm you there? Yeah, that's why I'm doing my schooling.
Awesome.
When I got my scholarship back when I was younger, obviously the age of 17, leaving FX, But I left university early. But just the last
University of Wisconsin, Phoenix,
Green Bay.
That's right. Oh man, that's crazy.
That's actually the first time I watched like an NFL game live.
You did?
I watched the Packers against the Patriots.
Oh wow!
Brady was playing.
Wow!
And they beat the Packers like 35-0. It was.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but it was my first experience. But yeah,
but you were in that town, right? You grew up in that area, like not grew up, but you went to college in that area.
Yeah, Green Bay, and that's the Midwest. It's a little bit racist. People will look at you like this.
Little bit.
You see the little kid like pointing like this.
Yeah.
Oh,
one of those areas, but it was definitely a place where I grew as a person, learned some independence, and
of course.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about racism then. How did that transfer throughout your career?
I actually just did an article on Sportsnet talking about some of the experiences, and yeah, it was always there. I go to places like my time in Lithuania, where a player, we're jogging. It's preseason, my first week there. I'm just getting used to the guys, and he just comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, is it okay if I call you the N-word? Like, I don't mean it like bad. Like, I mean it like." Like we're friends, like how the rappers use it. I'm like, oh man. And this is the type of racism I experienced.
That's crazy.
In Europe. Just like ignorance, sheer ignorance. And
what do you say in that moment? Like how do you I mean, I think that could help other people. How do you respond?
Yeah. I mean, my mom, my family always told me to just take the high road, some people are just less understanding. Maybe they don't understand the roots and stuff around me, and the people in my environment uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I kind of just said like, nah, bro, that's not cool, and just stayed away from that guy. I didn't really talk to him much after that, but that's the reality. I've experienced it many times. I experienced it in Romania, where I was getting monkey chants and like bananas and stuff like that, and it's happened a lot of times in my career, but it's made me stronger as a person.
Toss, when we had George LaRocque on our show, George LaRocque said he faced that same stuff in Canada.
Yeah.
So so can you imagine you're talking over, like you were over in Europe and these type of things, right? And it's like, well, we're kind of naive. We're like, oh, okay, it happens over there, but doesn't happen over here. And he was on our show, a month back ago. And he said he experienced it when he was 8 years old. They were screaming at him and yelling things at him when he was 8 years old in Montreal.
Yeah. From my experiences, when I experience it in North America, it hurts me more because
for sure,
the people here understand the roots of it. They know slavery. They know where the word derives from, and it comes from a more hateful spot than, say, that player just asking out of sheer ignorance. So when I experience it here, it hurts more.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, obviously it is. I remember I worked with a young guy from Nigeria, and who was a great soccer player. But we talked a lot about, I think the World Cup was happening at the time, and he said, in reality, a lot of African teams, for example, could be unreal and should be, but there is a lot of racism, and it's hard for them to break into some of the leagues still. Did you find, and you don't have to say any names yet, but do you find like some teams like shy away from that?
I wouldn't say shy away from it, but you're less forgiven. Like if you were to make a mistake or say the wrong thing or act out, it's just a little less forgiven than if you were somebody of a different color or somebody from their country,
Right.
But nothing too extreme where I'd be like, oh, this team didn't take me because I'm black, I've never really, I mean, I don't know if that's the reason or not. But
how would you?
Exactly.
Yeah. Toss, it's funny when I hear white people doing this, because I grew up right across in Detroit. Right, in Detroit. So when I hear people like Bill Maher, like these guys using the N-word and then being educated after, you know what I mean? That's not proper to use that. When I grew up across from Detroit, and I played a lot of sports in Detroit as a kid, you knew very quickly that was not done. Like, when I see these people doing it now, I shake my head and I go, man, if you just had to grow up in my neighborhood for 5 minutes, you would have known.
You'd understand.
That's a no. Like,
I mean, I put it this way. I don't even like to say the word, so.
I agree. I agree.
I stay away from it, so.
Yeah.
Toss, I mean, I want you to be a GM somewhere awesome. I want you to be, I love Real Madrid.
Yeah,
That would be cool. I've been there. I've been in the Bernabeu, but I that would be amazing. But is an MLS future what you're kind of one you're leaning towards? Like I want to be a GM in the MLS, or is it? Do you have to still work up through the systems before you get that?
I mean that's the thing. I don't know. I've heard about other people's experiences. Some GMs go and work for the league, like the actual MLS league in the office there, working contracts, and some take that route. But I think I'd rather take the route where I'm just thrown into the front office. I'm shadowing the GM, maybe assistant GM or whatever you want to call that role. Somewhere where I could be in either MLS. I would consider CPL, the FC Edmonton team. I don't know. I just want somewhere where I can be under someone that I can learn. I want a mentor, a good GM that I can learn from and just learn what it takes. There's only so much you can learn in books and stuff. So
yeah, of course.
You got to be put in the situation to really get the experience you need.
Toss, what's on your playlist? What's the top? What are you listening to? What's on the playlist these days?
Drake.
That's it.
Drake. I'm a big Drake fan, man. He's Canadian. That's enough for me.
I like it.
Hey, can we all agree on this show? Because I seen all these Americans shitting all over the halftime show, and I think it was the best halftime show ever. Me personally, I thought it was fantastic.
The Weeknd isn't, and I heard he didn't lip sync it at all. I heard that he actually sang.
Now, it's funny. That's why Americans are all saying, they go, "Oh, there was some mic trouble." I'm like, yeah, because every American that ever did the halftime show lip synced it, and the Weeknd sang it live. I think he killed it.
Yeah, he did.
I think he did well too.
Let's put this in perspective. Homeless in Toronto, everybody. To singing halftime at the Super Bowl. Let's forget all that. He spent $7 million of his own money. That's such a Canadian thing to do.
Yeah,
it's like
I got it. I'll pay.
How much you guys paying me? I'll take $7 million and just make it look cooler because I'm Canadian and I want to make sure everybody gets their money's worth, And it's true. Oh my God, it is true. And then Americans today were crapping all over it, and I'm like, oh, stop it, man. Just bow down to the Weeknd. I thought it was the best one. And it's so funny because if you do the whole backstory to how he got there, it's miles.
From Scarborough to the Super Bowl.
That's right.
Players can do that.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, Toss, I mean, you're a dynamic young man. It's amazing to have you on the show. We really appreciate you joining the Me and Jesse family now.
Yes.
And we got your back in the future, whatever you set your sight on. But as Mark said, and I'm guilty of this too, I think we're very similar in this regard. Don't be afraid to set it even higher, because if not, this guy right down here is going to be letting you have an earful if you don't. So
Hey, listen, Jesse, when you said it earlier, you said, hey, I'd like to see a Real Madrid or Chelsea or whatever. And the first thing Toss does, he says, well, I don't know, maybe I'll be in the office in Vancouver and maybe I'll be in the thing. And you know what I'm thinking the whole time is? The whole time I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me right now, Toss. You got to be kidding me. No, Toss. You play out your career. And I promise you, listen, look at the GM of the Raptors right now.
Oh,
okay,
legend.
No, not just a legend, just his mentality about everything. Okay, Jesse and I hate the Maple Leafs with a passion. Okay, but I love the Raptors. I love them, and so does Jesse. So you know what? But when you see how he put everything together and the stuff he'd gone through, I'm sure at one point he probably said, I didn't, maybe the high school team or whatever. And then all of a sudden he woke up one day and said, no, I'm going to be in the NBA. I'm going to do the Raptors. And boom, that's what happened. And
you'd be the perfect person to apprentice under and learn from. Wow.
Toss, as we hashtag the Me and Jesse podcast, the Raptors, the Whitecaps, everybody, that is basically the absolute person that you're going to go after to emulate to get to the next step. Correct. Hey, awesome. Toss, you got to think. One day I'm owning this little fighting show called the MFC, and I email Mark Cuban and say, hey, maybe me and you could get together. He sends me a letter back and says, how about I give you a TV deal for 6 years, Mark? How would you like that? And I go, oh, thank you very much. But
wow.
You're talking, and trust me, I'm not trying to brag, Toss. I'm just trying to put it in perspective that someone like me with zero education, not very intelligent, semi good looking, I tell you, when I see people with talent outside of just the actual game of soccer, like yourself, it's time to let's get up there. Let's go farther.
I appreciate you, man.
And all your stuff that Toss, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make sure your website's on all our stuff. We're gonna make sure when you come to Edmonton or you come whatever you ever need, you just text us and tell us, okay, guys, I'm gonna be doing this. We'll promote it on all our stuff every time for the rest of your career.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks so much for joining us.
I had a great time.
Make sure you follow him. He's all over the internet. You can find him. He's got cool stuff. Go Whitecaps.
He does.
We'll see you again soon, man.
Take care, guys.
All right, bye.
Shazam, baby. Shazam. Get that. Hey, listen. Get those season tickets. Let's go. MLS. Boom.
Bring them up next time it's on TV. Make sure you tune in, everybody, because it's what's going to take soccer to the next level. I forgot to ask if it's called soccer or football. Anyway, but
you know what I hope, Jesse, though, is I hope they don't go down the same road as the CFL, though, because the MLS is way more shinier than the CFL, and I want to make sure that they stay in that lane. They don't try to downscale it to some degree. They need to. I heard they're
the MLS is great though, but the CPL is the Canadian league. But
that's right.
I think we need those leagues because they're feeder leagues.
I agree.
And Edmonton and Calgary isn't going to be able to afford $300 million sports team when they can hardly support their hockey teams.
Right.
So, that doesn't work. But a CPL team you can have, and then maybe they get to go to the big show in MLS, which I think is awesome. And I think every city in Canada needs that lower level thing. And then we as fans need to support it because that's what makes things work or not work. We have to be able to support it. Now, and this is where you and I should be involved with some of these teams because we know how to make them actually cool. And so, they need to make sure they get the fans the right way. For example, Spruce Grove here, we're getting a baseball team that was formerly in Edmonton. I'm super jacked. I love that. But it has to be done the right way so we actually draw the people and loyal fans to this sport because it is new for some people. So you have to make sure. Soccer's the same way. A lot of people don't understand it. So you have to be able to break it down. And having a guy like Toss explain something like, why are people falling over? That is something you need to do. You need to do that on a frequent basis to say, hey, this is why it happens. This is what's on the line here. And explaining it that way so people understand. And if you don't do that, you're going to miss something again. So, but, you see in a very short time, a decade's worth, that, he's
it's changing.
To Alfonso, you're like, okay, well, that's a big change. We could grow this big time in another 10 years. I would love, can you imagine if Canada made the World Cup?
Oh, could you imagine?
Jeez.
That would be fantastic.
I'd lay the French flag down for that. Like, I pick up the Canadian one for that, obviously. Like, you don't expect them to go that far the first time in, but you would absolutely be cheering them even if they were playing.
You'd be supporting them.
Absolutely.
100%.
Well, I have one thing to say.
But let's not forget about this, though.
What?
How many people ordered Boston pizza yesterday during the Super Bowl from our Hampton Marketplace or our Windermere location
right up
with
there.
Boston Pizza with our dear friend and fantastic sponsor? How many people?
How many people tuning in?
Because
you know what? Here's the thing.
With our dear friend, don't forget our dear friend Terry Olson. He was probably standing there with a drum in front, going, "Hey, it's the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Get your pizza.
Get your pizza. Pizza is a Super Bowl thing.
Oh, it's like there's no comparison.
Pizza, wings, beer.
Pizza wing.
I had a few beers last night, Mark.
I could sense that.
Yeah,
I could sense
I
that.
did.
I could sense
I'm having another one tonight, even.
What kind?
This is double IPA. This is from.
Where's it from?
New Level Brewing.
Where?
They're from. Where are they from here? They're from Canada, but where? Calgary. They're from Calgary. New Level.
Yep.
It's called Annihilation of the Wicked. Oh, the Flames! The Flames beat someone recently.
Yes, they did. I'm not going to.
I'm going to bring back one of our former guests, George Larocque. We brought him up already once, but he said something about the Oilers, and he was 100% right, and it was proved in the game against Calgary. In all honesty, Oilers played quite well for most of the game, but their goalie really let them down. I mean, a few of those goals should not have gone in. Especially in that thing. It is a problem, and it isn't going to be fixed until they get someone else. Koskinen or Smith are not going to fill the gap. I am sorry. You can say how much you like them. I don't care. There's a level and a cap, and they're at it. And that's it. So, yeah. But I do have one other thing to say.
Please.
Map. Map.
100%.
Dude.
It's over.
Tom Brady. The greatest all-time football player ever. He's the Wayne Gretzky of football.
No, it's going to happen now. No, Jordan is no longer the comparison. When you see a kid swimming in a pool somewhere, you go, "Oh my God, he's so Jordan-esque." You know, you see some
Brady.
kid on a tennis court hitting a ball, you go, "Oh, he's so Jordan-esque." But now you're going to say,
"It's Tom.
It's like Tom Brady.
It's like Tom.
It's Tom Brady."
Hey, there's Tom. There's Tom running across the street. There's Tom hitting that ball. There's Tom kicking that ball over there into the net.
100%.
Tom Brady.
That's Tom Brady.
He's the new GOAT. He's the comparison. He's the level at which all other athletes, professional sports athletes, have to measure themselves to. Because
can we say
70% of the Super Bowls, and you go 10 times.
Yeah.
And you win 7 of them.
Yeah.
And if you ever said, like, oh, it was Belichick and the team they put around him. Well, he just said, hey, you know what? It's not really about the organization.
Correct.
It's about the agent. It's about the guy. Because, hey, yes, you can have that, and I know it well because you see like guys like Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. You take those guys out of a team, and I tell you right now, my Seahawks are not good without Russell Wilson. I can tell you that right now.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Tom Brady has an innate ability to make everyone come up to the level he's on, and he takes them on his back. And it doesn't matter how old he is, he somehow propels them to greatness wherever he is.
Yes, wow. I agree.
I get the chills even thinking about it. And I'm not a huge Tom Brady fan.
But you gotta say though, he is the epitome of an athlete. The way they should conduct themselves throughout their whole entire career, he is that. He is that. There's no disputing that. Minus a few little here's and there's with Deflategate and things like that. Yeah. But what I'm saying is the majority of the time is though he's a guy that conducted himself correctly, and that's important.
And people are saying, well, he gets the calls. He gets all the calls. Well, so does LeBron.
Yeah, he does.
So does Steph Curry.
Yeah.
So does McDavid. Like these guys get calls because they're the best, and that's what happens. They get calls. They do. They know what they're doing. They get calls, and you can't. I mean, KC in that game. I mean, there could have been no penalties. It wouldn't have mattered because they didn't show up. They weren't in that game from the kickoff. When's the last time Mahomes didn't score a touchdown in a game?
High school.
Never.
Never.
He's never not scored a touchdown in a game.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
And they hold him to 3 field. The most potent offense that the NFL that they say has ever seen.
Ever seen.
And you get 3 field goals. That is mind-blowing.
Yeah. People better be careful too about crowning him yet. That's not Mahomes' fault. He is fantastic. He's great. He's everything. But let me tell you something. Everybody was crowning him early. He's won 1 Super Bowl, okay? And I get you. He's only lost 9 games in his entire career. The end result is if people can't catch the ball with him, that's a problem.
Hey, we saw him, and again, okay, maybe his toe was hurt. You could tell there was something wrong, but he's not going to be 24 forever.
That's right, and everybody's
aging.
hurt.
And people are learning now, and as they learned with Russell Wilson, if you can make this guy move, you have a bigger shot. Yes, they can make plays. Yes, Mahomes can throw it sidearm 40 yards down the field like a bullet.
He can.
Russell Wilson can scramble and throw a Hail Mary across field and hit a touchdown. They can do that. But the percentages are, if you can make them discomforted, they will slow down eventually, and they will make mistakes. And Mahomes, not only they have great coverage, but they made him move so much that no matter his crazy playmaking ability, it didn't matter because they filtered him to a side of the field and they covered that way, or they filtered him this way, gaps. And they closed the door on those big plays, and it was masterful. I will say that it was masterful. Beautifully coached game. I think obviously football is the greatest coach sport, and Bruce Arians needs tons of credit as well, because that guy got the shaft. Totally got the shaft in Indianapolis when he won Coaches of the Year. But you can't really displace a guy that had cancer and came back, so he had to leave. I understand that. But he goes to AZ, and he's still amazing. Yet his team doesn't perform the way they should, and they're on paper they were amazing, and they couldn't put it together. And then comes to Tampa Bay. Everyone makes fun of them. They're going to suck. They're just the same old Tampa Bay that sucked forever since Gruden. They're not going to do anything. Tom Brady's too old. He can't throw. Nobody's going to do anything there. Super Bowl. Yeah. Super Bowl 55.
55. LV.
Boy,
hey, who's on the show next week?
This is great news, everybody.
Who's on the show next week?
We have a good show.
We have a good show every week. But who's on the show next week?
My boyhood idol.
Tell him.
My boyhood hero. And then even as I grew to an adulthood, someone I looked at with much respect. Theoren Fleury, former Calgary Flame. Theoren Fleury is going to be on the show next week. Super excited about that. Theo obviously
Get out of the way, everybody.
It's going to be good. Because Theo's not afraid to say what he thinks. And people mock him for that and say, but hey, you got to respect someone that says what they think without being ashamed about it. So he's going to come and we're going to get him to say what he thinks about lots of different topics.
Uncensored.
Unplugged. No, I'm not sure if that's uncensored for sure.
We're going to be plugged in, and he's going to be uncensored.
Right. Yes.
Good.
Yes. That's what we're going to do. Theo Fleury is on the show next week. I'm very excited about that.
Everybody.
Tosaint Ricketts was on the show this week. What a good guy. What a good guy.
Fantastic.
Again, it is about finding the people that have the character and the charisma and the people that you're like, I'm not a fan of that team or even that sport, but I'm a fan of this guy. And that's what we did again. Tosaint, I mean, obviously, you can't listen to that and not be inspired by that guy. And very excited for what he's going to do for the rest of his career, because it's not even close to being over. And he's going to have a long one. And I really hope the development of soccer grows immensely in our country, because I would rather watch that than hockey.
Correct.
I said it.
You said it.
I said it.
You said it. You said it out loud.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is, right over here, this guy, Mark Pavelich. Find him on all social media at Mark Pavelich. Find me on all social media at Jesse Martineau. This has been the Me and Jesse podcast. Thank you to our special guest, Toss. Find him on social media. And next week, we will have Theo Fleury on the show, which we're very excited about. Until then, make sure you order your pizza and wings from Boston Pizza, West Windermere, and Hampton Market. Don't forget to do that this week. Sporlo, hey, we can go back to restaurants. We can go to sitting there and watch a game.
Oh, that's right.
Hey.
Starting today.
So make sure you do that too. Support your local restaurants. Until next time. The goat. I can't get enough of it. We'll see you next time, everybody. Me and Jesse podcast.
Thanks for watching the Me and Jesse podcast. Follow us at facebook.com/Me and Jesse.